second round, and so if you wanted to stick around, you could maybe explore that a bit more. So if that's all right with our witnesses, all right. Great, appreciate that. I'm going to return to my kind of final question that I didn't really have time to get an answer on. We're talking about the chip making equipment and as a result that there's new Chinese chip making equipment companies. These companies are experiencing double-digit and triple-digit revenue growth, particularly for sales of less advanced tools used to make foundational chips that serve as the backbone of the modern digital economy. So, Mr. Ball, if the U.S. and allies had enacted export controls to restrict China's access to tools for producing chips, does it make sense that we continue to allow unrestricted sales of subcomponents into China, particularly when these subcomponents are almost all made by either U.S. or allied companies?
No, sir, I don't think it does. Some subcomponents are generally applicable sort of industrial subcomponents that you export controls would have different implications, but there are also highly specialized subcomponents that go into lithography machines, metrology machines, many other things. And those subcomponents are their critical inputs and I think should be export controlled in coordination with allies.
Great, appreciate that. And Mr. Wolf, you had talked a little bit about the entity list. My question was, do other currently unlisted PRC chip-making equipment companies also conduct the same activities of those already blacklisted by Commerce? And if so, which ones, and how do we deal with that?
Yeah, in December of last year, the Biden administration added many, but not all, of the tool companies. They don't know the reasons for the differences, why some weren't listed. I think they should be. I agree completely with the need to work with the allies because a lot of these parts and components are made in allied countries to cut off the supply for the same reasons. There's a sort of an evolving structure of a smaller group of close allies called the Wassenaar -1, which is a smaller group of producer nations outside of Russia.
Wassenaar, by the way, is where the U.S. Embassy is
there you go.
in the Netherlands.
Or Consensus -1, and that would be, I think, even consistent with Trump administration policies and worldviews, the organization to work through to try to accomplish on a multilateral basis controls on the chip-making components, and also sanctions by their countries against the remaining Chinese SME companies. Maybe somebody from earlier could explain why some of the tool companies were listed but not all. I don't know the difference.
Okay. In a recent report by the semiconductor industry research firm SemiAnalysis found that the biggest roadblock for Chinese production of advanced AI chips to the CCP's struggle is the CCP's struggle to produce high bandwidth memory. Mr. McGuire, could you please explain what high bandwidth memory is and how it relates to this development, and could you walk through the key Chinese companies involved in AI chip production and how the U.S. and allied export controls impact those companies?
Sure. So high bandwidth memory is essentially very, very fast memory that is almost uniquely used in high-end AI chips that are needed for the training and operation of advanced models. With this kind of very sophisticated memory, it couples with the very sophisticated processor to create the capabilities of these kind of supercomputers in a chip. It is in very short supply. It is almost exclusively made in Korea by allied firms. China's trying to make it themselves. The key Chinese memory maker is CXMT. CXMT is not on the entity list. Now, they are probably covered by some U.S. controls due to some end-use regulations, but the fact is there is some lack of clarity here. We absolutely should make sure that CXMT is fully restricted from U.S. and allied tools. Also that YMTC, which has subsidiaries that make HBM, namely one called XMC, that should be restricted from U.S. and allied tools. We should have countrywide restrictions on any tools that are particularly necessary for high bandwidth memory production, of which there is a list of those tools that I know our colleagues in the government have too, that we could work with you on. Those should all be restricted countrywide. I completely agree that this is a really important choke point, and if we squeeze it, even if China can make a bunch of logic dies, they will struggle to make large numbers of AI chips because they will not be able to couple the die with the memory. That was the conclusion of the SemiAnalysis report, and I completely agree with it.
And what happens if the CCP is unable to get their equipment serviced by major American, Dutch, Japanese companies, and its tools break down over time without specialized servicing as well?
This is very important, particularly for lithography tools. So these tools, semiconductor manufacturing tools need constant maintenance. As we were saying, as all of us have noted, these are the most complex tools in the world. They constantly require little tweaking, or individual subcomponents fail, they need to be removed, have new ones put in. Particularly for the lithography tools, the really complicated ones, the ability to maintain and service these tools is itself extremely specialized. Only ASML can do it. Nobody can operate or run these tools without ASML. ASML provides on-site support to make sure that they keep operating. If ASML did not provide that on-site support, the tools would likely break down and degrade. China cannot provide that servicing themselves. They know it. And the United States has restricted U.S. companies from providing that on-site servicing at advanced Chinese fabs. The Dutch have not done that for ASML, or they have in very limited ways. This is a key gap that we need to close.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately one of those questions. How do we stop our U.S. allies from servicing that equipment that's already in China? So,
And I
thank
think
you.
there are ways that we can do this with extraterritorial U.S. controls. The Dutch might not like it, but there are ways that I outlined in my testimony that we can make this subject to U.S. jurisdiction and stop it ourselves.
Looking forward to exploring that more. With that, the ranking member is recognized.
Thank you.